Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Leese.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi, Dave. Loving the autumnal sweater. Nice time.
Loving your autumnal sweater, Jonathan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, this and that. We are going to be discussing everything going on in the figure skating world. This weekend, the Japan Open, Finlandia, the
Junior Grand Prix, everything. Yeah.
All the things, all the injuries. If you are new here, please subscribe below and smash that like button. I was in the Catskills this weekend. I got a last, minute touch of autumn before we start the Grand Prix circuit, Jonathan, because I feel like it's coming. I'm hoping it's coming. It's coming. It's coming, right?
Right. I think we're ready for it. I think it's time.
I think the skating, it's starting to pick up. It was nerve-wracking in terms of the quality around Nebelhorn.
Slow start, we'll say. Yeah.
The Japan Open is giving me reason to be hopeful, reason for optimism, right?
For one, there were people watching.
Yes.
So that was great. That step one, there was an audience, and we loved that for skating.
But I don't know if you felt this way, but Kaori spent so much time in the off season redoing her choreography that her jumps seemed like a little askew at times, but
yeah, perhaps a little disorganized or something.
She's like getting into form. They call it like rounding into form. I don't mean that in a physical sense. I mean, slowly like getting there, and maybe she's on like a perfect timing for a post-Olympic season, even though it's a little nerve-wracking because she is the only star of the women's sport right now, like legitimate star, reigning world champion, Olympic medalist, and she's carrying this, and girlfriend needs to deliver.
Yeah.
I have never been accused of being a Kaori fan in the past. I wouldn't accuse myself of being it. She seems like a lovely person, right?
Yes.
I'm obsessed with her and this Sia program and the new Kaori with the brighter hair. And I worry because, I'm a little bit worried about our friend Marie France, who I'm a big fan of for many seasons on the show. Marie France, if you go back and forth, we have been Team U.
Almost always.
I believe it has maybe taken all of the creative and emotional energy out of Marie France to make Kaori so fabulous that she allowed that Canadian team to do the cha-cha slide. And that she allowed Caitlin Hawaii to do an entire program of Desi Arnaz. Like we were watching I Love Lucy and the band was playing.
Although, moment of honesty, I love that music, but we're going to get to it. Okay.
Listen. Hey, Ricky. I love her too.
Down at the club. Yeah. Okay. But I have to be honest, because Kaori did come forward and is clearly showing us she's trying to do new things. And of course, at the Japan Open, we only see the free skates. Bless Ottavio Cinquanta's heart. Remember when he was like, what if we only do free skates from now on? Yeah, this is an example of what that's like. And I always wonder if actually it throws a bit of the momentum for the skater to just do the free skate in a competition like this. I'm sure it has something to do with something. But for me, it's her short program this season that I'm particularly drawn to. The collaboration with Roheen, I think, is especially
I think Roheen took her further, right?
Yeah.
And I like it. I think Marie France smoothed some things out. What I really appreciated this program, I actually like, first of all, the hair. I mean, did she get it done where Marie France gets her hair done? It's fantastic, right? And it flows and it moves and it makes her so much breezier and lighter, energetic.
Yes.
What I really like about the whole aesthetic is that they have a lot of multi-directional movement going on in her skating. So much that it actually seems like this footwork is really hard for her every time. Yeah. But when she hits the right moments in the music, it is fantastic. And I think this program continues to grow. I think it's going to be exceptional by Japanese.
But I'm intrigued. How much time do you think she's really spending now with Marie France? Because that's where I think so many times we see someone go to a great choreographer, they work a little bit and do all this sort of stuff. It's the kind of thing where I wish they were in the same rink almost every day.
Yeah, but she can always go and visit depending on the schedule. She has Skate America, then she has some time, I believe, in the Grand Prix circuit, although they love to rearrange the schedule of the events. But there is some time, and she's kept the integrity of the choreography. It hasn't been that watered down. If you look at what she's doing, the transitions are so complicated that it's really visually interesting. It's one of the programs where it weaves very well, and there's nothing expected. Like, it keeps your interest the entire, you never zone out. And she is really doing complicated steps on the ice, and I really appreciate it. And she's doing it well. She like goes up at her toe picks on the right point. Like, she's really becoming a performer and stretching herself. She's not just doing the Benoit thing that was happening. Like, she's actually capable of far more. We used to say, watch her from the waist down. Like, you can now watch, like, she's moving so differently, and I really appreciate it. And I enjoy watching this program grow from event to event to event, which we don't usually see. So,
yeah, the actual growth from the beginning of the season, because everyone says, take it with a grain of salt. It's the beginning of the season, blah, 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 blah. But so many times we have seen it just then stay the same. But I do agree with you. She's the kind that I think will continue to work at it. She's not someone I would ever think would water down the choreography. Like, that's not why I would want her to be with Marie-France as often as possible. But even here, you could tell there was just like one more energetic sort of adjustment of the hand or something, like those sorts of details, I think will suddenly make this 10 times more magical.
I'm no longer worried about the second place finish that she had at her last competition. Like, she's going to be ready. She is on track, and the jumps are becoming less scary, even though still sometimes a little tilted on the combos in the second half, but she's starting to get her swagger back, and like a new woman. Last season, she was skating to I Am Woman. This year, she is.
She's living it. Yeah, okay.
Living it. Yes, good problem.
Yeah. An easy win for her here.
Yeah. It's interesting. Luna could also benefit from visiting Marie-France.
I think.
She is dressed very elegantly. She's trying to be elegant. There's still some moments in hers that really lack refinement. There's like remember when we saw her Celine Dion, and you kind of wondered, like, did anyone with any taste edit this? Why did we need this many music cuts when she did that short program? But people were like, she's doing Celine, yes, queen. And you're like, right. No. And I don't know that Mariah with Adam was that much better, but it was still a little better, right? Yeah. It was on par with that jacket Adam wore at Nationals that one year when they mic'd him up, right? Yes, just new money. Okay. So no one is telling any of these people less is more. Luna has, interesting, pay attention to when she does the back spiral with the bent knee and the flexed foot as a transition, and she doesn't hold it. It's like 3 cardinal sins at once. Right. But they're making an effort to turn her into this really beautiful skater. And while I think that people think of her as maybe Kaori's biggest rival, I worry that she might be slotted for like maybe a second world bronze medal instead of a silver, because I think the likes of Yelim Kim will be tough for her.
And we'll get to her. Yeah.
Compete with at the end of the season.
Well, it's one of those things.
The quality and the GOE is there for her.
Yeah, for Lena, especially last season, and she was a woman among girls, right? She has longer lines, she's a taller woman, all these sorts of things. And so you're sort of rooting for her almost in that underdog sort of way.
She was the anti-eteri skater.
Yes. And then, of course, I hope she gets a European medal coming to her at some point retroactively, but that's a whole nother topic. But I think that rooting for her almost as the underdog was different now that she's established. And now that we're sort of expecting it from her, it does change the way you perceive a skater when you anticipate they're gunning for a silver medal, bronze medal at Worlds, which we were not necessarily considering last season. So I think that the standards become higher for what's expected of you. So now the novelty of her womanly skating is now under a different kind of microscope, I think.
I think she's very good. I think she's a good contender.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand criticism when people comment about the absence of the Russians and how these women are not maybe up to par, although this is clean skating, has to be pointed in. And if you look at the skating in Mother Russia this year, maybe the standard is also not as high as last season overall.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think she's improving well. I think that she's growing into her status in the sport. So I'm glad that we didn't see someone rise to the top of the sport, get that medal, and then start to
disappear.
have a lot of games this season.
Right.
And have the ups and downs, which we have seen, especially with some of our American girls. So I am glad to see that she's like riding that wave and getting real confidence and security. And I think that there's room to grow and improve. And I think this season, next season, hey, that's not a bad career, right? Who knows? 4 years is a long time. I don't know.
Especially for her at Europeans this year, I would have my eye on that.
Oh yeah,
that prize. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think she's better than the fake Polish girl. I mean, I give a lot of credit for a triple Lutz, Euler, triple flip combination. Even trying to do that with singles is very complicated. Overall, I don't like her packaging. I didn't like it last year. I don't like it this year. They try to do almost like this year, it's like the Fellini sweetness type thing, although it's not that exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it really happened at Europeans. I found there was such this like sort of fan endearment for her, as being this cute, uplifting, happy young woman skating. But yes, I think when you compare it to who else is in the mix this year, it sort of falls short.
I think she could actually just be a beautiful skater or a nice skater, or why not a nice piece of piano music?
Why the kitsch? Yeah.
We'd love to make Katya kitschy.
Yeah.
And I would love to see it elevated a bit. Although I don't know that the old coaches of Daniel Grassl, are the ones to do it with her. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah. What do you think about Mariah Bell? So she never officially said that she was taking this season off, although she was not on the Grand Prix list. And, you don't want to upset the fans. Technically, she could go to nationals.
Right. And of course, we know Brady had to withdraw, but her replacement was not Mariah. Her replacement was Mariah. So Mariah definitely knew that she was doing this.
And this is an IMG event. So this is created for IMG skaters to make money. So that is why another skater also represented by IMG will typically replace them. And this is why you also won't see someone like Yuzuru Hanyu at this event, because he is from a different agency. So this is the world.
I mean, where do you think, it was clear to me from this outing that I don't foresee her planning this season to be in.
I would agree with you.
Is how I'll say that. However, even with the watered down content, based on how other things are going, she could still be more of a factor than she maybe realizes.
Here's my argument. We've seen what the other American skaters in the singles event look like. Lindsay did a single combination.
Right.
Mariah doesn't look like she has practiced much at all.
Right.
She's on the Japan Stars on Ice autumnal tour right now. Maybe this will be more practice time for her than she has had in a while. You know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a long shot for Mariah. She doesn't seem, I don't know, actually. It could go either way with her. I think at this point, I don't see her competing at nationals, but I think she should. Because frankly, I think some other skaters are growing right now and changing, and this could be a nice time for her to
get one more season out of it.
Get one more season.
And she, of course, would be facing the same Olympic worlds burnout as everyone else. You know what I mean? So maybe if that break was what she needed, but I mean, we didn't we didn't see any triples from her, obviously, or anything like that.
But we rarely ever did in the past.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't seem to stop her from getting, you know, where she needed to go last season. But I'm intrigued.
Jason Brown got to the Olympics. How many times did we see him do 2 or 3 clean triple axels in a competition that you wouldn't even question?
Right. Well, and
there are certain skaters that have enough GOE and enough components and enough quality, and they can rely on the mistakes of others and just rise to the top. I think Jason should also go to nationals. And frankly, I think the US should pay both of them to go.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I remember in 2014, as we were approaching, they were really gunning for Johnny and Evan to try.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were really encouraging them to try. And I wonder, in a non-Olympic year, but I wonder if they're going to try to encourage some of these people.
Based on how the US men would look, the next generation seems like they have at least probably 2 years to get up to snuff. Oh, I would beg Jason to go.
Yeah. And this was a lovely program.
And
the Impossible
frankly,
Dream program.
Last year, he was really hindered by, obviously, Olympic stress, and he had a broken ankle before that they kept under wraps.
Right.
He broke and missed a lot of his summer training, which is why his skating was a lot weaker last fall, which was like blasphemous to say. How dare you accuse fan favorite Jason? But he was coming off an injury and his skating was not as powerful. This is Jason at more full health. It just had a little bit more punch to it. Even without training, you could see him at a higher level. So I think in that sense, they should beg Jason to go, and they should beg Mariah. For Mariah, she was not planning on going to this competition. So I think
I think she's
money-making opportunity for Mariah.
Yeah.
And you know, someone always needs to be in the Roz Sumner's role at a program.
Rounding out the field. Yeah, exactly.
You cash that check, honey. Okay.
Yeah, for real though.
And put it in a nice Vanguard account. You can buy more shares now. The economy is down, but eventually it'll go up. So yes.
It's just a paper loss, Mariah. Just keep going. Yeah. But I am intrigued if after this they may have a conversation with them.
I'm curious about this Brady ankle injury situation because she's had so many injuries in the past. She looked like she was getting it together on Instagram, living her best life in France. And then I was excited to see her. Her videos were encouraging and she seemed driven. And then, you know, having this injury right before, obviously disappointing. And we haven't seen her yet. And she's going to need to start doing international competitions in order to get the bye to nationals. So she has to do a certain number. So I am curious to see what happens because she needs to go to the Grand Prix. I think they will put her out there. If she doesn't go to the Grand Prix, she can't really go to nationals. It will take her out. So because last season, of course, also giant question around her that entire time. So it's I feel it's been a really long time since we've actually seen her. It has been.
Yeah. So I was very intrigued also, but of course, if taking the time now is the way to go, and again, forfeiting that fee, I think it's not a decision you make lightly. Same with Rika Kahira here, you know, who had to do her watered down content as a result. Now, was Wakaba originally invited here? Or was it always supposed to be Rika?
I don't remember.
Because we know Wakaba has announced, right, that she's taking the whole season off to heal, which is devastating as someone who enjoys her skating, but as someone who is invested in her skating, I would rather see her actually take the time and heal because so many people just don't take that time and they just keep making it worse.
I'm relieved. I have to say, when we saw her at Lombardia, I think we were polite about it. I thought she looked awful. I thought she
something was wrong.
I thought that this season looked hopeless. Because remember, Japan has their nationals earlier around Christmas. It's not a ton of time to be top-notch. And Japan has a lot of skaters who are very good. And Wakaba has not really been that consistent over time to get the benefit of the doubt. As far as Rika goes, it's hard to make sense of everything with the translation of her post, but she's definitely had some very significant injuries. It's unclear how healed she is from them. And based on her skating, it's also unclear to see how healed she is from them. She can do toe and sow. She's has more emotion than we've seen from her in the past. I think working with David Wilson was beneficial to her skating. Do you see her really moving up though this year? I mean, at what point do you start to
yeah, for a while, you know, I mean, because she was worried, she was taking out the Lutz, you know, for so much of that time. And now we're really just down to toe and sow, it seems. And again, I don't see, like you said, their nationals is so soon. So actually, these aren't as early in the season as it may be for other people. I don't know how you come back from that quickly, especially given the depth that we're seeing everywhere already this season. Yeah.
I was surprised that we even saw her here and the last couple of outings. They're tough watches when you know what she's capable of.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I'd rather see her in the watered down program than failing or hurting herself further on more difficult content, but it's so blatantly obvious that she has to play it safe right now. Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Hoping for the best, but I don't know that I see her factoring in with world team selection and things like that. So again, pushing
because they're already going to have to whittle down 4 or 5 major players that are gunning for it. Yeah.
Who knows how much money you make in Japan being in the top 10, how much money you're right. Like that also to keep her career going because she has missed a season.
Right.
This all plays in. Obviously she wants to be out there. So, but it's
and a tough choice to then skate to Titanic.
Yeah. It's not bad music for her.
No, it's not. But I mean, just
the puns, right?
I mean, we'll just let it go.
Let it go. Well, and the men's side, speaking of Japanese depth, Yuma Kageyama withdrew from this competition, so we saw Kaomura. Kaomura was someone that was in the mix last year. Boy, has he improved overall, just from last year to this year. He was kind of a quad Lutz guy, and now he is quad almost everything.
Yeah, with knee bend and glide, as you know, and Beauty and the Beast in the physical costume. You know, I had thoughts about that, but
I don't, Jonathan. I think I said this last year. I don't foresee us ever complimenting him artistically. In a Max Aaron-like way, I do not believe that we will ever say, oh, what a gorgeous program.
Yeah. And yet, some of those big edges, some of those big glides, some of those knee bends are to be commended.
You know, there's not a lot of pointed toes happening. The posture could be better, but there is some quality to his skating and some consistency. He could be a real thorn for the likes of Kazuki Tomono. Like, that's who I worry about with Kazuki, who's kind of our Johnny Jeremy type figure, where we just love him and we are just lighting every candle to get him through the nationals, right? I worry because Kaomura is the real deal in terms of jumping. That is really impressive.
And this made a statement that he's in it. Yeah.
I was impressed. I expected him to be pretty strong, but he was like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Now let's talk about Shoma, because he was phenomenal here, in my opinion. He did, okay, there was the Sasha Cohen moment that we expect from Shoma, because he was being very controlled. Even that free leg, like he was doing his best to hold those landings, the best we could expect from him.
Right.
And then he goes into the triple flip and he got like lost in the air a little bit.
Yeah, it was a confusing even moment to watch. I was like, what just happened there? Yeah.
But there are so many choreographic moments. He does this like spread eagle to like a Wally situation that is so fantastic. The edges are so deep. He's so sophisticated, more sophisticated than either Nathan or Yuzu been. And
a sense of calm which is a little bit different, like a feeling of settledness in his body, I thought, during this program, which is really lovely. I love the ending pose. And also fascinating, I don't know that anyone's ever skated to a countertenor until this program, like a male falsetto just like coming through the arena. You're like, oh, unexpected.
Did you get the sense that he was holding back at times or trying to control himself? I could almost like feel it in his body that he was trying to hold the reins in.
It seemed maybe the mantra for this event was just sort of like stay in the moment, stay steady, because as we know, what makes him exciting is sort of that like wild energy, but of course that can also be a double-edged sword. So he did seem much more tempered, here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I liked it. It was interesting. It was satisfying, and
It was classy.
I think he will win a lot of competitions this season.
I
think
that.
He will cement himself as a real person in skating, and he's also someone that is growing into the role of world champion. He was always the silver medalist for so many years, or the runner-up, or fourth place. He is growing into this, and I think it's interesting to see who is going to challenge him and how this is all going to pan out, because he has been a little bit rocky in the past. So I am curious. We did ask, we thought, Jonathan, what is my favorite thing about Sports Room when anything happens?
Oh, that they could just go to the committee? They go, what did you call it? The bingo?
The bingo committee, right?
Yeah.
I think we need our own on the skating lesson.
I think you do. I think you already have one, Dave.
No, we have one person, but I think that we need to start like casting.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. That just gets like the group, like sort of the copy and paste. Please give us your comment on this. Yeah.
Frankly, we can do it better. The only problem is in America, people are afraid to speak.
Right. Or be quoted anyway. Yeah.
So we went to someone who is never at a loss for words.
And worked with Shoma.
Alexandra.
Oh, you were going with the name. Okay.
First of all, I'm very happy for him. He is a good person and a hard worker. Now his name will work very hard for him. So he needs a calm program without any emotions and interesting transactions. The main thing for him is to make his jumps consistently, which he does. Yes, he has a lot of questions about jumping, but he deserves a little indulgence with his patience and hard work. But under good circumstances, Ilya will be crazy competition to him.
And yet I don't think so.
I do.
You do?
Because this is skating.
Right.
Federations pay judges. And he can do a quad axel, a quad lutz, and a quad flip, which Shoma does not do.
Right.
And I find skating to be a little bit misogynistic in where they equate jumps with masculinity. And this is,
I know. That's not to you. That's yeah.
And when someone can do the jumps, we overlook that they can't skate.
But sort of as we see here, if
and we want the total package, but when we get someone with the quad lutz, we say, it's fine. We'll give them the nines.
But I feel sometimes, because for instance, Samarin always had that killer lutz and flip in the quads. How consistent was he? Yeah, I guess it wasn't a consistent one. And in the same way with Daniel Grassl, like he has come out with some really, difficult, consistent quads at times. But again, I just, I'm excited by Ilya. I think
is a perfect example of the difference between flexibility and extension, and flexibility and aesthetic precision. He can get his leg over his head in a spin, but do you want his leg over his head in a spin?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
He can hit every position in a code of points, Megan Duhamel type way, where you were like, yes, that is a bullet.
Right.
But is it something Sandra would want in the program?
Does it mean something? Or is it there merely to get the point? Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, as you see with Ilya, if he misses that first quad axel in particular, somehow you are then more honed in on the program itself, which lacks something I look for in skating, I guess.
His cartwheel with tucked legs was offensive to anyone who has ever watched the sport of gymnastics. And that includes people who witnessed Shelley Stack getting the scores she did on balance beam in 1988 when the Karolis politicked her way onto the Olympic team, okay? Why is that boy doing a cartwheel? Because everyone is this season?
Right.
Out. That is the ugliest I'm sorry. He is a wonderful athlete. That is the ugliest cartwheel. My nephew, if I plied him with vodka, could do a prettier one, all right? Like, he's got a gay uncle. I don't think Ilya has anyone gay in his life, and it shows in that.
Yeah, well, and even the costume alone, and I know it's like trite to talk about the packaging at times, but like it also sends a message of just sort of like, what? I don't know, it's not. Then comparing it to someone like Shoma who comes out and it's just dripping in elegance and class, I don't know. Dripping in Matthew Caron. Yeah, I mean, it's the whole top to bottom is the whole program, the music, the movement, I hope he gets rid of the gray. Shoma, get rid of the gray, please. Give us a color. Yeah, although I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Just graying all over the place. I also wore gray last year. I hated it. It reflected my mood, Jonathan. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. No, you want to see him in like a midnight blue with an ombre. Come on. Yeah, lovely. They do love an ombre in skating. That's for sure. Yes, yes. But I mean, have all the glitz he wants. Okay. I was curious what Japan money. All right. I was curious what Japan was going to do with Ilya here, but the response seemed very warm. So were his marks. Yeah. Again, base value rules the day. Look, he is a very good athlete. He is not on Shoma's level of refinement. It is not even close. Yeah. But as you were seeing, being able to do a quad axel and what he has already, his components are getting the boost. Right. I mean, it's one of those things like I watch the skater take their opening position. And even in that, it sort of already gives you an indicator as to the skating skills you're about to when the Russian ladies were around and they were getting bullshit marks, people would say, well, skating is a sport. And I would say, yes, it is. But do you give Jason Brown technical points for being so damn artistic? Because skating is also an art. Right, right. You don't. The scores, you wish the scores could stay in their lane. But even in 6.0, we saw this when we were judging a lot of those old competitions. Most people, they were oddly close at times when you feel they should have been very different on both sides of things. Look, if we're not going to give Jason Brown points for skating pretty and say that that is worthy of technique, you can't give Ilya Malin the components. I'm sorry. That is atrocious. Like the skating skills, the lack of extension. And look, he is putting all of his, look, he's doing a quad axel. Respect. Okay. Yeah, of course. At the cost of. But I'm going to give him the points for that. I'm not going to give him the points for that. Should the quad axel have a higher base value? Yes. Okay. Yes. So I think that is true too. But you can't give it in the components. You can't. Okay. That it's lunacy. So because then they would always say, well, how could you do a quad axel if you don't have skating skills? And it's like, well, they're two different. Have you ever seen a Mishin skater before? I mean, it's fun. That's the thing. Practice jumping from standstill. So it really, this is otherwise, why have the two different sections at all? I thought Jason's program was interesting. I love that he took advantage of doing like a triple stepping into a double axel. I thought, oh, Rohini, I guess, has paid attention to the rules this year. Okay. And then how about when he went for the coolest transition ever, but like late in the program. At the very end, in the final seconds. Yeah. Jonathan. And he commits to the transition.
Yes.
Maybe too much so for the jump that follows.
Can we talk about the impossible dream?
Yes.
Really honest now that it's not Javier skating it with Man of La Mancha, like for Spain, and they just like cut the shit. It's very Broadway to me.
What is?
Feels
it's a Broadway show.
Broadway has like performative emotion rather
Yes.
than genuine emotion.
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
it's the difference between Jason and Joshua Ferris.
Mhm.
And I want to see Jason get grittier. Like, I don't know. It's just
less performative, more introspective a little bit.
More introspective. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I sort of felt that when Josh and Jason were even at the Junior Worlds, because Jason was doing exquisite things, hitting incredible positions, but yet Josh had a bit more of the heart, and Jason was showing you something cool instead of sort of feeling it. And they both have value, of course, but I always just inherently emotionally responded to Josh Ferris's skating just that much more, because again, he wasn't showing the emotion, he was feeling the emotion, I felt.
It's like Josh gave you that old like Miramax quality from like the Oscar film that you want to love, you know, because they have that grittier rather than like a blockbuster emotion.
Right.
But yes, I think that this is all, I mean, it was great. Okay, it was great. It was satisfying. I loved it.
Yeah.
I just think he's capable of going even grittier as a professional.
Yeah. Pushing his boundaries a little bit now that he can. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I think all those fans go for the show that they know he will give.
Of course.
And it is a good show.
And you know Tracy's going to sit there and be like, Jason.
You're magic. Yeah.
You are such a beautiful skater. With her glasses on her head.
But he is.
He is.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think there's another layer.
Yes.
That they could go. And I wondered in the Schindler's List if that would be the kind of program to do that for him. But of course, then you want to rely, especially in that Olympic year, on all the things that make you and all the things that you know, get the crowd going and maximize the points. But yeah.
Kristen won't let me do Schindler's List. She won't let me do it.
That's all right. You can find something equal. How come no one brings back Jurassic Park? Do you like John Williams? Jurassic Park.
It is. Everyone has like a different opinion. Sandra will give something and someone else will be like, someone else.
That's the joy of skating.
We're getting to the point where I'm just going to say F it. Until I mean, I have an idea that's pretty good. I'm getting ready to work with Hugo. So yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm going to do Igor doing the steps and Nina adding like the arms and the artistry, because Igor can be a little bit heterosexual and Nina's
so he'll provide the foundation and she'll decorate it. Okay.
Yes.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
They're two different skills.
That's what I did once before. Also, like Igor and Kristen are really stubborn. You know, Kristen didn't like something in the Pagliacci program and she waited until the last moment. Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
Like the death last year. She'd be like, "Do you have to die at the end?" I'd be like, "That's how it's choreographed." Like,
that's what we're doing. We've committed to that choice. Yeah.
Was it my?
Yeah, too late. Yeah, you could have said that several months ago when I was creating it. Yeah.
Actually, she couldn't. That would have not been received well by.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So, anyway, you know, Kristen's just, you know, an easy one.
Yeah. Okay.
You know. All right. Let's talk about Finlandia, because speaking of easygoing people, you know, Julia Lautova had never seen a spin that Lindsay did with a fall on it before. It was not.
You know, I have to say, when I first checked the results, because I wasn't able to watch in real time, I actually forgot Lindsay was there because I was only looking sort of at the top names, and I didn't realize she was there and had done what she did. Yeah, that was something's clearly off at the moment.
I think Julia probably was excited to kick Lindsay's butt into gear. She didn't have to even do the yelling. It just, I mean, look,
At that point, that takes care of itself. There's nothing to say after a competition like this, I think, for her.
I think Lindsay's a fighter, and we will see her emerge. She survived at Hackensack for years. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
And Julia is not for the faint of heart. So I think we will see her. You know, Julia had this skater that was doing her program, and she just sat down on the ice after she fell. Julia went over and asked her why she thought that was a good idea. And I just happened to be skating by and loved every moment of this interaction.
What about this made you think sitting down was the right choice for this moment?
Yes.
Okay. But I'm intrigued because this kind of competition, her momentum was okay enough coming into this. But you know, I know she probably wanted to be ahead of Isabeau a little bit more, you know, closer to Isabeau or something like that. But coming in, it seemed like, you know, the ball was rolling on the season. And I think for some skaters, this could really just put a wrench in the whole thing. But you're saying she strikes you as the skater that's, it's not going to phase her, it's going to inspire her to fight a bit more?
She's a little bit like of an ish kind of person, right? And she's got a fighter in there. I imagine. I think the last couple of months have been probably harder for her, and you know, she's growing and taller than she was last season, so that's not easy. I think the two main things is she needs to work on her speed and work on just with her face, like expressing that she enjoys what she does a little bit more. I think that she's very serious when she skates, and it can come across as ho-hum. But if you pay attention to her limbs and her movement, while Isabeau like is really trying to hit everything, in moments of this free skate, Lindsay has a natural grace that we don't often like think of because her face is not giving it.
Well, it's sort of like, and I experience this in opera all the time, it goes like concentration face.
Yes.
Focused face, which can put up a giant wall between any performer and the people watching. So that's what I get sometimes. It's not that I necessarily think when she skates, oh my gosh, she hates this. I think, oh my gosh, she is so focused and so thinking about all this information that must be barked at her all the time that I sort of like miss the lights on. Yeah.
Watch like the second 2/3 of her free program. She really has beautiful spins. She has nice extension. She has a natural grace. I think they need much better music for her. And she probably needs to like visit the Kiliakovs and like, you know how the Kiliakovs basically gave, I'm blanking, McNamara is basically copying what Green and Parsons did last year.
Right.
Lindsay should visit them and they could make it a trilogy and just have her do it too. Next year, I think it would fit them much better. We can all, you know, get the same music, same kind of costume, dress her like she's a Grecian statue, give it a program, say, screw you, Benoit, save a little money, keep it in Mother Russia. And like, you know, just move it. It'll be a much better package. Have Nina work on it with her, maybe go with the they can create it together because the Kiliakov probably could use some Nina in their life, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just take that program, give it to Lindsay, and it'll be a better aesthetic and maybe something a little bit modern for the short. And
but I wonder what Lindsay wants to skate to. And I have a feeling if you asked her, she might not have an answer. Because I think, like you said, oh, this place is not for the faint of heart. This coach is not for the faint of heart. Like,
but who is in skating, Jonathan?
Well, that's, I mean,
have you ever heard the stories about Tammy?
Yeah,
the jump is cheated. Like,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. Well, they all are, but
Tammy lets her skaters know that the jump is cheated, but not how to fix it. Right. So that's
well, and that's the thing. Like, thank you for the what, but where's the how? You know, and that's what seems to be missing in a lot of this. But I just wonder if Lindsay truly got to like look inward and pick something she would be inspired to skate to. It probably has little to do with that, what is being assigned to her. And when something is assigned to you and people tell you how to feel in the program and tell you how to look in the program, I think that reinforces that wall.
She's definitely moving with more of herself than she did like in the previous years, if you've watched closely. Definitely more than Samson and Delilah, which was not the right choice for her. Okay.
I didn't say
also
that just
said it.
now.
I didn't use the words that Jonathan did, although I've been accused in the retelling of having said it at the rate.
And people who don't understand when you're describing an actual story that does exist and not the person who's interpreting it, but okay.
And they also don't understand that when Jonathan says something, it doesn't mean that I said it. And it also, just so we are clear on how this was retold by kids who didn't see it, it went from Jonathan saying that Lindsay was portraying a biblical whore to it,
which I didn't even say, but okay.
You said that the music was about a biblical whore.
Yeah, that's the story. Yeah.
In the retelling of this, I called a 15-year-old skater a whore. That is how that was retold. Okay.
And you're like, then ask all of those people to go back and show you the receipt. Yeah. Show me that clip where anyone says that. No one said that. But I mean, to be fair, during that fallout, I wrote to Lindsay and I was like, it's been brought to my attention that there's some misinterpretation about what I said. And I just want to set the record clear, you know, wishing you all the best. And I said something like, I hope you don't I hope you don't care what I say. And she wrote back this like very lovely, very professional thing that was like, thank you. No, I'm open to all criticism and all this sort of stuff. But like, that's where you almost wanted Lindsay to be like, I don't care what you say, because it doesn't matter to what I'm doing. But yet I think so much of the skating culture is that they almost leave their body and are just told everything, that sort of like centered sense of self is gone in a lot of young people that are training this way.
Well, she's a little feisty. She could stand up to Julia, like silently stand up to Julia.
Okay.
Like, they don't like spar.
Okay.
She's like, you know, she does her own thing. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Finlandia, because then I got my
have to go back. So for Julia's, it was Julia Lautova's birthday this week.
Oh.
So I took videos of myself watching her programs. And I was sure to point out, when Dick Button said that her layback was ugly, it wasn't me who said it, Julia. It was Dick Button. Okay.
Let the record show. Yeah.
He also said a lot of nice comments too. But you know, in skating, someone could say 50 compliments and the one negative, and we're all trained to hear the negative. So.
Oh yeah. Or even the absence of the positive you were looking to have them say, I find is also what happens. But they lost.
The interesting thing that I didn't realize, and go back and rewatch it, because she's from the Kudryats of the school, even though she represented Austria. There was like a dark era. 92 Skate Canada wasn't one of my big competitions prior to YouTube, right? She skated the exact same program of Maria Butrskaya. Maria Butrskaya skated a program in 92 at Skate Canada. For 2 seasons, she did it. Julia did the exact same program for 2 seasons, 96, 97, 97, 98. It is step for step, slightly different jumps, but go back and watch it. And it's, yeah.
Fascinating.
They had the same coach and yeah. So,
well, talk again about like putting a program on someone instead of creating the program for that individual's like strengths and the way they emote. Yeah.
It's like the Parkettes have done this in gymnastics with horrifying floor routines. Russia, same artistic level in the ladies event in the 1990s, right?
Yeah.
So, oh man. One of our favorite personalities. Yes.
Yeah.
Jonathan,
never bored.
There's nothing that I miss more than watching Maria get her marks in the kiss and cry. Often stand up, snarl. One time she pointed the finger at Elena Tchaikovskaya and moved away.
The lack of self-awareness is just astonishing during that period of time, I think.
Not even that. It's like
what mark did you really think you deserved on that? You know?
You know what I like the Russians? They all believe they deserve a 6 for everything. Right. Okay.
No matter what. Yeah. By merely showing up. Yeah.
She let us know. Remember, she told us that she stopped traffic when she was rollerblading or something.
Maria.
I forgot what the exact quote was. 96 worlds. It was a moment.
Yeah. She had several moments.
The girl Yelim Kim was really proud of herself at the end of this.
She should have been, because again, last season I think she did
was the boring girl of Korea. Do you remember? Like, it used to be like Unsu, Young Yu would be like, oh, we have to watch Yelim, and she was Colorado, and she was basically the Sotskova of Korea, right?
But I thought she showed us when she did that Maleficent program, you started to see hints that something was there, and I was ready for them to jump on it and cultivate it. And it just sort of, they had to wait it out a little bit. But what they are giving us in this short program, I cannot get enough of it. The free skate, like, I appreciate in a different way, but the short program, there is a moment, and I started just writing down specifics, so I didn't just like gush randomly. If you watch the double axel, when she lands the double axel in the short program, and she does this like slow head turn and like roll of her shoulder as she changes directions, like I practically fell off the sofa. I couldn't get enough of it. And one of my other favorite moments is after the flip in the short program. She does a series of like arm movements that are so perfectly timed with the music, that are so unbelievably elegant. I can't get enough. And the step sequence matches like the bowing of the violin. I don't know who helped her create this, but I want them to get an award. The Ina Bauer moment. But really,
we're
it's that moment
out over this program.
I for real. And this is the first program of the season, definitely in the ladies or in the women's, that I have had this response to it. And I just didn't know.
The Kaori elastic heart moment.
Also love it, but in a different way. This gets me here, this short program. It is my favorite program thus far of this season.
All right.
Yeah, I know that I'm over gushing. I know that I'm like going over the top with it.
I really like her.
And it doesn't quite translate the same way into the free skate. The music gets a little more generic, and some of the movements are just designed to be lovely for lovely's sake. But the short program in particular, I was like, woof. Yeah.
I like Kubanova here, but she's a little generically lovely for me.
So I was going to ask you about her, because this is one of Paulina Edmonds' big sticking points. She is convinced Gubanova is a star, but because she's not with a powerhouse federation, it holds her back. Now, I have to say, I was sort of, there was a bigger gap in the marks than I expected, perhaps, because she does have a killer combo. I mean, the triple she can do is really, really lovely. But again, I think that these programs, again, she was doing the Queen's Gambit with the car crash and all this stuff. And it reminded me of something that I didn't see when we covered some of the Russian test skates. And it was when Zagitova is interviewing Elizaveta Tuktamisheva. And she's like, can you tell us about the story behind your program? Did you see this interview?
Yes.
And Elizaveta's like, what? It's music, and I'm just like skating to the music. And because I love the idea that there's always got to be this like outrageously dramatic, complex narrative going on. And when someone like Gubanova does it, and there's the car crash and all these sorts of things, but she's not skating to the story, she's skating just to the music that's playing. It seems so unnecessary, I guess I'd say.
Okay. Russia is obsessed with the fact that Zagitova is not as bright as maybe Anna Sherbakova.
Okay.
And like, if you take the fact that these are humans out of it, this comedy of this juxtaposition that now they have Zagitova and Sherbakova hosting together, all they're going to do is tell you how much smarter Anna is than Alina, the last two Olympic champions.
Yeah.
But like the rest of Russian skating, the dark comedy of it is incredible. The humanistic aspect of it is horrible. Okay.
Horrible. Yeah. And then if you go even further back and you have, oh gosh,
Yagudin is actually supposed to be really smart and got a gold medal in high school for intellect. That is shocking based on his behavior against Plushenko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. So Nikova, and then remember she came out and then it was like she gave like $30,000 to a psychic that was just telling her boyfriend still loved her or something like that. Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. You never know what you're gonna get.
I enjoy Zagitova keeping us guessing from time to like she just. I always wonder what she's thinking. She's watching Eteri with the girls, Eteri in the staged moment with Valyeva.
And again, to me, amidst all of these personalities and these personas, then you have Elizaveta, who's just always so real sometimes, and she just stood there. What story? God. What story? I'm skating to the music. What are you talking about? Story? It was amazing.
I know I said I was going to do an As the Blade Turns, and I've been working on some stuff and busy, but Ice Age 2, or Ice Age is back in Russia. Now remember,
this is the one you said where they were like, "This is frivolous, take it off." Yeah,
because they said that they insinuated that they were gay people. Now remember, if you watched last year, they did this whole thing where a TikTok star and Medvedeva, it was like, are they gonna kiss? Are they not? I mean, someone is not more. I said this, that Medvedeva would eventually become as much of a media figure as Tarasova, and I would like to say that I have been proven correct. Okay, This girl knew how to work Ice Age. That every article last year was about whether or not they were going to make out. And I look, just like her skating, it is not about the skating skills. Okay, but I am into her personality, her intrigue, what she is going to do next. She is a fighter. Listen. She's in it to win it, okay? And they're back together. I don't think Ice Age has any rules because it's basically like all of Russian skating, like with I don't want to get in trouble. Okay. Anyway, they are. It's a good time. Good job. You know what we're sleeping on is like we are often with the war. We're often too nice with Loena Hendrickx because she had a mother who is a stage mother who got her daughter to ice dance, and then she's trying to make the brother to be like a pianist of note, right? She made sure that Hendrickx had one baby in Florida and one in Dubai. Now, yes.
Oh.
Now the term anchor baby is offensive, but maybe strategic. She had strategic births. Can we say that? Strategic births. I applaud. But it's interesting that someone who has two strategic births is married, engaged, life partnered, performs as a bullshit ballerina in the performance of Sergei Polunin, who has, a Nazi tattoo, a tattoo of Putin on his chest. Are there 3 tattoos of Putin?
Oh, yes, I remember this. All these tattoos coming out now. Yes.
And you know what she gave us on the first episode of Ice Age? A program about the Russian invasion into Ukraine from the Russian point of view.
Again, also like I love people pushing the boundaries of what skating can be, but also like as we saw with like the global warming program and all these sorts of things, like sometimes it's just not the right venue to play out certain things. Yeah.
There are certain people who are gems in skating, whose camp factor and persona is, they just don't disappoint. From a humanistic point of view, it is horrible. From a dark comedic point of view, Hendrickx and her husband are so top-notch.
In providing
sorry, Medvedeva, you are second place again, because Hendrickx
he says that's terrible.
I am sorry. It is like the Pyeongchang Olympics all over again. I don't care if you're going to kiss this TikTok star. Frankly, you're going to have to give us more this year. She's giving us a program about the war that Averbuk himself didn't even choreograph. I mean, come on. This is some like, it's like no one in the country has any self-awareness. And that's what we love about Russian skating the most, Jonathan. This is fantastic. You can't make it any better than that. All right.
And then sometimes the ones they have that I respond to the most are the ones that are not the ones that thrive.
Oh, and guess who replaced? Okay, guess who replaced Tarasova? Yelena Tchaikovskaya. Okay. Now, back in the day, Galina, Tchaikovskaya, and Tarasova were best friends. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a falling out. So remember, they were all paid shitloads of money to coach in Connecticut, and they used to pay for their housing. You know how Tarasova likes to be so pro-Russia? She was making American coin for quite some time. She was in New Jersey, in Massachusetts, and in Connecticut. So when Galina was at her rink, you know, she took the side of Tchaikovskaya, right? So Tarasova used to come to Galina's house in the back door. She'd eat an entire gallon of rum raisin ice cream every time. Yes. Okay. Just setting a scene. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I can picture it.
They were like 3 pigeons on a wire, Johnny, we were told.
Okay.
Well, remember, Tarasova was coaching Sasha Cohen. And at that time, Tchaikovskaya was working with that girl, Ludmila Nalidina, who was like this Russian skater that was known for like attempting a triple axel, who was like hideous.
Oh, yeah, I barely remember that name though. Yeah.
And remember, when people go to competitions, they'll sometimes train in the country to acclimate and get ready for it. Right? So she was coming to Skate America. And Tarasova, now these two were best, okay? She banned her from the rink and got the manager to not let Tchaikovskaya go because she thought that Ludmila doing a triple axel would throw off Sasha Cohen. Now, Sasha probably doesn't even like know anything about this, right?
Yeah, like we learned, like it doesn't take a triple axel to throw off Sasha Cohen. Like Sasha Cohen throws off Sasha Cohen if that's going to happen. Yeah, yeah.
So because of this, like one of them called the other and she was like, no. So because of that, it was like the rift of the 3 divas. Like,
whoa, okay.
So I find it interesting that Tarasova is back in the hospital and Tchaikovskaya replaced her on episode 1. Now, I'm not saying that Tchaikovskaya is any nicer.
That's not what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
I am saying that I'm into this. Okay?
Yeah, wow.
And I will say that when Tarasova was in the hospital last year, one of the divas called her and one of them did not. Okay, because they didn't know if she was going to make it last year.
Right, so, right. Oof, oof.
I would not accuse any of them of being a nice lady, but they wouldn't accuse themselves of that. And frankly, that's not what they're going for.
Right.
They get results. That's
okay.
what they say. Who cares?
Yeah. I came here to win. Yeah, not make friends. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm here for it. All right.
Okay.
With my rum raisin ice cream, every bite. Okay, like the.
So funny. So funny.
I mean, come on. This is.
I mean, do you think, like, just circling back to Finlandia, like if Gubanova did have all that like Russian system behind her, that she would be a bigger factor in
Did you ever see the program component scores from Medvedeva or Trusova or Shoma?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. If she took the ring of eteri, she could.
Now, conversely, I don't think Yelim Kim is like
make anyone a world champion in Russia. Come on, Lobacheva. Go like yes, of course.
Maria Buterskaya, and they didn't even really work for her. I
Terry could do it.
Yeah, okay.
I believe eteri could do it with Russia being banned. If Gubanova went to her, she could still figure out how to make her at least a medalist.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because here is like to Paulina's point where she was always talking about this, because we're usually talking about the big federations competing. You know, what can the Russian Federation pull? What can the US Federation or Canadian Federation? But to think of really the people on the outside, like I consider Korea a bit on the outside as well as a federation, and maybe that's my error. But I don't think they're coming with the same pull as some of the other countries.
We needed this to happen. Remember what I said at the end of last season, start of this season, we need Korea to happen.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it now in Finlandia. Yelim Kim and Junhwan are giving what we need. Now, next thing we need, without Russia, we need Japan and Korea to start fighting. Like it's Mao and Yuna.
To bring that rivalry, yeah.
Have you seen the numbers on the ISU Junior Grand Prix channel? They are not where they need to be. So we need these things to happen. Rivalries sell. Don't care. Like sport is about entertainment. And these countries have, listen, every eteri needs a Plushenka. Okay?
Right. And I think if this does become a showdown between Kaori and Yelim at some of these things, I have a feeling Kaori would come out victorious, but I think that it would be a fascinating competition.
Yelim's jumps are pretty darn good. So
they really are. They really are. And actually, both of their short programs are two of my favorite choreographic pieces of the season. Yeah.
So do you know who Marie-France's real rival is this year?
No, who?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And they're not even fighting about over top teams. It's Marina Zueva.
Marina?
Yes. In
her
retirement project in Florida is effing shit up for Marie-France with her 14 countries, not because she needs to, but because she can. Do you think she's happy that with her beautiful choreography, Japan didn't send Daisuke Takahashi to the Olympics, even though
Right.
No, absolutely not. She basically invented a challenger series. So there are different criteria, whether or not teams and like whether or not these events count towards your ISU bios. So they are using St. Denis 10's competition to have 4 Marina teams there, judges from different countries. Oh, it's delicious. Okay. So we have 2 fake Azerbaijani teams, Azeri teams, sorry. One is with Scott Moyer, the former student of Marina Zueva, who then left and went to Marie-France. Remember, he and Tessa weren't so nice about Marina after the Sochi Olympics, although they've walked that back in diplomacy in terms of, get this. You know, not every country has a nationals. Marina has an Azeri team, you know, the girl maybe bought a former Russian as long with her siblings. And you have Scott Moyer that also has an Azeri team. So they have to decide where the nationals are going to be.
I'm sorry to put a pause in this. So is that the correct term instead of saying Azerbaijani?
I have heard Azeri. I mean, we'll have to ask Kristen Fraser. I'm not a native like, you know, she is. But of course.
Okay, interesting. I just didn't know that. Okay.
Remember the Warsaw Cup last year when Daisuke and Diana Davis got scores that
they got world records?
Because Igor Spielbahn brought his judges and Marina Zueva brought hers.
Right.
And remember, Zagreb is where all the shit has gone down with Marie-France and Julin for years, right?
Right.
So someone in the Azeri Federation suggested that they should have, you know, why don't we go to Zagreb? Marina was like, no way.
Right? Yeah, it's crowded with politics. Yeah.
So then they said, why not the Warsaw Cup? Scott Moyer said, no way. So they're doing it at the NRW Trophy, which is a competition in Germany. And they have this woman who's like newly elected to the controller who like doesn't take any shit from anyone. So like neither one can
pull the shenanigans. Yeah.
So there's neutral judges.
And so they're basically going to count that as their nationals?
Jonathan, you know what we love most about neutral judges? Everyone is pissed off. Okay, no one wants that. But Marina
fair judging. This is an outrage. Yeah,
okay. Marina is polite enough about it, but they are furious. Okay. People, Japan is counting a season's best score. This was, you know what, a sleeper event. I'm sure Tim Coletto is thrilled that Daisuke is going to the Dennis 10 Memorial. I think that. I do think that maybe the Saint of Dennis 10 will give Daisuke the season's best score he needs to get him to Worlds in Japan. I'm just thinking that it's going to happen. And yes.
I hope it does. Yeah.
I think that Marina will pray to Saint Daisuke. Oh my God. The best thing would be is Marina's BFF, Halina, the caller, the Polish caller. She helped rig the 2010 Olympics for Marina's teams. She would be the perfect one for the Dennis 10. She's beautiful. She's allegedly corrupt. She would be a great person for this competition in dance. Okay.
Ridiculous.
Okay. And with everything going on in Hungary, remember Marina's aligned with a Hungarian team too, even though Gergen is a guy from Tchaikovskaya. Remember we talked about her on Ice Age.
Right.
The guy, he was her student from Armenia who's like bringing in all of the Russians to Hungary, but Tarasova says it's fine that he's importing Russians into Hungary. He's helping them out with skaters they don't need, is what Tarasova said.
Disposable. Like you just referred to a human being, an athlete is disposable.
You know my favorite with Russia over the summer? When Samadurova was saying like that her coach was abusive and called her.
Oh no, it was
is it Samodilkina or Samadurova?
No, wait, hold on. Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
It was Evgeny or that coach. It was,
yes.
Right. But they all were
and
like,
I liked her.
She never achieved anything anyway. What do we care?
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, hello. So
horrible.
From a dark comedy, Sports was great. From a humanistic level, horrifying.
It's troubling. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I digress.
But what did you think of the dance at Finlandia then? Because I was intrigued here if we thought this was Canadian.
With Green and Parsons, who never told us that they were going to Tanith and Charlie, but we knew that they were going to Tanith and Charlie and Greg Zerline. They have the Midas touch. I hated the programs.
Yeah, they were both. It was a step backwards. I'm not saying that in terms of the skating, but
the Kiliakovs that we might have seen on Live Barn. Like it was not. I thought it was.
I found the material a little bit basic.
Why were they dressed for Singing in the Rain but doing American in Paris?
Yeah, and the Rhapsody in Blue opening. Like I was just sort of like, we've seen this. Like I didn't. They were on to something last year. They were on to this sort of like unique. They're kind of out of the box. They're interesting. I was really rooting for them at nationals. I really enjoyed watching them live. And this just seemed like I watched those seasons in reverse. Like this was sort of like, let's give some staple material and see what happens. And then next year we can experiment. I miss the experimentation quality.
We have an epidemic in American ice dance where we have really short male partners.
Right. And
they have female partners that are like chia pets and they just keep growing. And we keep making the same mistakes in the pairing.
Yeah.
I don't, listen, I think Diana and Gleb could take Green and Parsons this year.
Year. I wouldn't have said that if they had material more kind of like how they had last year.
Everyone was telling you that like, oh my God, Ponomarenko and Carrera are better. And that's, I think they could take them. Done. Okay, we saw these programs. They were shit on the stick. Okay, it was just like.
It was just a miss. Yeah, I was disappointed by it.
Also, sure. Hawaii gave us like last year's program in a darker shade of purple this year. What was going on there?
Although I have to tell you, so speaking of that height limitation, it's when you think about where that could like leave something to be wanted in a free dance, I think of the lifts. But I found their lifts in this, the curve lift, the straight line lift, the way she holds the position in the music, I think they are maximizing what they can do in the lifts. They're being creative. And for me, actually, this free dance went by pretty fast.
Yeah.
And their opening one step sequence, or 1 foot sequence rather, I found so entertaining. Again, I think they'll just get lost in the mix.
So in dance is all about GOE this year. And for people who are obsessive compulsive, it's a dream. Now you can be like, their brackets weren't perfectly synchronized. Their brackets didn't match.
Their synchronization was a little bit off. And that I didn't know if that was the newness.
You don't have 14 countries going for you. It definitely matters. When you do have 14 countries on your side, you know, you can overlook it by, you know.
But the winners from the same camp, you know what I mean? So whatever advantage you have, they're also getting. Yeah.
Yes. I thought that they were good. I thought that the Desi Arnaz, the whole program, I'm like, is that Ricky Ricardo? Is that really Ricky Ricardo? Are we really skating?
I have to be honest. I loved it. The only time that I sort of had an eye roll moment was when they pantomimed the maracas. That's when
that was your only eye roll moment.
For real. I kind of enjoyed the music. 100%.
I worry that making Kaori D. Benoit Richaude took all of Marie France's like creative energy. Listen, like, I don't know. I am worried. I heard that there's like Chalk and Bates went from like an astronaut love story. They're doing something like mystical in the forest this year. I don't know. I'm worried. Okay. We already have the cha-cha slide, which was Roman apparently.
But still was entertaining.
I mean, thank goodness Lila Fear is Lila Fear. Okay.
Right.
This is not their year, right? And what is happening in the cha-cha slide? I can't get over it. What is happening?
But it's not their interpretation of it that's the issue. It's just the selection in general, because I found the cha-cha slide was interpreted well.
Oh yeah, it was just like a white wedding. Yeah, it was great. I really loved it. It really felt.
It was interpreted better than I have seen at every wedding. I will say that.
You need 6 or 7 drinks before the cha-cha slide comes out at a wedding. It needs to be an open bar.
Yeah, like I'd go if it wasn't. But even
I once went to a tacky wedding. It was in the rain at an arboretum. They didn't have a gazebo set up. Okay, people stood there with umbrellas. It went back to a restaurant, and my sister had always said that she went to college with this guy and said that he was cheap. Right? They had their wedding had a bar that was open bar for some and cash for others. That is the.
Like you got a wristband if you were a VIP and you could just
get the free. For their
my gosh.
Allegedly. Like, I mean, I was there. So, yeah.
Whoa, that's a choice. That's a choice. But I don't know. Seeing Marie France get.
The marriage didn't last. You know?
Funny that. Yeah. They cheated with people just on the list, though. There was a cute little moment in the rhythm dance when the straight line lift exit, like she kind of like collapses over. I don't know. There was some cute qualities to it. But again, it's clear that then when the Canadians, Laurence and Nikolai come out, that the judges are just going to go for that aesthetic off the bat.
They're so attractive. Their turns are so messy. There was snow flying. They were not pristine turns, but they're really attractive. And that's what we care about in ice dance. Right.
I guess, because I did find the program a little lacking in times, and he does that thing in the stationary lift where his arms just then like flail for some reason. I wasn't responding to the overall thing, and their free dance felt much longer to me than the Hawaii and Baker free dance. Like I was aware of how long it was going.
But they're pretty.
Yeah, and I think just inherent, whether that's just the height and speed that they're able to achieve, especially in person. Hawaii and Baker can often seem slower than I anticipate in person, if that just hinges the rest of the marks. It's unfortunate because I like the Hawaii material.
I liked the flamenco program.
The dress, oh my gosh, it was amazing.
I liked the choreography.
The choreo slide for them was very cool.
Slightly white bread.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how they will rank in Canada, but I liked it.
The straight line lift, a little awkward. Like, I don't know. For me, it just wasn't working overall, but I think people just like the team.
Yes, but all of these programs paled in comparison to one team that really stood out for me at the Finlandia Trophy, Jonathan.
Is it getting hot in here, Jay?
Jonathan, the team from the Czech Republic, the sibling team.
So we know we're not going to go for a romantic story. What should we do?
Global warming with Obama's speech at the UN.
And yet, somehow, I didn't see the message in the skating. I don't know how you would do that. Yeah.
They wore blue.
Yeah.
Rising ocean.
And then Mother Nature, she doesn't need you, but you need her. I was like, I'm not really going. Again, I love that people want to bring the most out of the art form, but yet at the same time, I think there are limitations to the art form on what you can achieve. So I love that you want to make a stand about global warming and do whatever that is. I just don't know this is the venue in which that plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, what I did like, and it inspired me, were the Finlandia Kiss and Cry floral arrangements.
Oh,
right? It was like right there. So I was like, I'm going to get one because that was so good.
I also love watch off. We have to give all, except for this Waxel that is becoming a little bit of theme with him. There are some little.
Well, yeah, it was interesting because in the short program, in general, they were like these wild swingy landings, but he has so much speed on those exits. Like there's something very impressive, but a little bit wild about it. And the step sequence, I think, in the short program is just like absolutely awesome. But we were talking the last time we saw him, it's when he does that long like hesitation before the axle, you know, we might get into a little bit of hot water. And the first one in the free skate, he didn't really hesitate at all. And it went pretty well. But then the second one, that total hesitation came back. And you just know even before it happens. I didn't know if him being with Brian changed anything for him. In general, there was a lot more energy, speed, and sort of like overall power to all of it. Or maybe he's just becoming more comfortable with the programs.
You know, 2 weeks more of training than we saw him from the last, I think. It's not.
Yeah. Right. Or if it's just that comfortability in it now or something like that. But that opening quad sow on the music in the James Bond, you're like.
So you know what I like about Georgia? You know how like some countries are really offended that when skaters perform in the Novka show with all of the Putin money. Georgia doesn't give a shit. Frankly, they let all the skaters train in Russia anyway. And we pretend like they're not.
Right. That somehow they're different. And we not
pretend like Ivanova is not Russian. We pretend like Morris isn't, even though he used to represent Russia. He's in the Novka show. Although Eteri didn't go here. She would not show her face for him. I remember when we were at the 2013 US Classic, everyone decided to do James Bond that year. Marissa and Simon came out with the guns, people groaned. Okay, it was that bad at that point because there were so many James Bond programs. You had Tobias, like everyone.
Mariah that season also, didn't she?
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
The breaks, yeah.
Right, yeah.
With an epidemic.
Yeah.
The Elvis program, we knew this was going to happen.
Right.
Of course. When he did the Elvis like crotch, I groaned. I thought, of course. Oh.
Well, because it's just cheap gimmickry, and you're like, is this a show? Even in a show, I don't want to see that. But coming from someone who does the Blue Genie, you know, I mean, I guess it's to be expected.
It was so on brand for Morris to give us a shticky
and company. Yeah.
I miss Eteri telling us that, well, even he can shoot right once a year or something.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever that saying was. Yeah.
They called him Spermabach or something.
Yeah. And especially the edits they choose, like it was so grating and aggressive and harsh, that opening cut. I just couldn't. I was intrigued. It looked like, and I could be totally wrong on this. So he did the quad sow in the free, and then he did the quad toe, which looked to me like he attempted more of an actual toe technique, and ergo it failed. And then he went back to the second quad toe. He went right back to that quad sow technique. Well, I was curious if you saw that difference, or if you wonder if he was alarmed enough that they think they have to address it. Because he was kind of digging his heels in about it last year. And they were like, we don't know what you're talking about. We're doing it.
I never know what jump he's doing. So
yeah. And in the slow-mos, when you watch those replays after the program and look at the feet, it's not great. It's not great. Compared to that of a Junhwan Cha, whose step sequences.
His hands, once you see them, you can't unsee them.
Right. Yeah. So there you have it.
On the Junior Grand Prix, Josh.
You sent me, and I had not seen him. I'm sorry to jump right on it. The American male skater, who I can't say I was so familiar with, and gorgeous skating. You know, not the jump content, you know, execution he was looking for here, but just in general, I was a real fan of it.
Send him to like Roheen, David Shapiro
he can do it. Yeah.
We need to make him a little more special. Also, last week I confused Lucas Broussard and Liam Kopekis. Thank God I liked both of their skating. It was complimentary about it. I totally thought that they were the same person in my mind. We hadn't seen Lucas in a while.
Too many L's. Yeah. Okay.
So anyway,
incredible.
Okay. Yes, I like his skating. I think we need to get him some jumps and consistency, and yes. But he at least has some promise.
Some really lovely quality.
I think that they should really focus on his skating skills so he can like Jason Brown his way in, because
that's his angle. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
The jumps are going to be the angle, right? If you're get him to where they need.
But the young man from Japan who won here was lovely to watch.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his skating. Yeah.
The program was a little, but yeah. And Robert was second. He really did his best. Ted was like, interesting tech, maybe not the refinement that there are plenty of women at the Ice House who are willing to tell him to stretch his toe. They need to hire all of them because he has the athletic talent. They need to work on his polish. So he has like the competitive ability they're seeing. So I think he's really improved in a year, but they need to work on his polish. But I was really improved because last time he messed up in the short program and it kept him down at the Junior Grand Prix. And this time he went out and killed it. So I thought that was really impressive.
And the Japanese woman that
when Ted calls you sloppy, you have got to work on it. Okay.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to take a hard look. Yeah. But the Japanese lady who won here was sensational and one of the loveliest, lightest triple axels ever. It was so delightful, and it was a Miss Saigon program, but yet there was a lot of joy and lightness in the skating. I was thoroughly enjoying her performance as well. Yeah. So, yeah.
Kristen suggested I skate to Miss Saigon, and I said, Kristen, what part of that do you think is?
Yeah. What about Dave screams Miss Saigon? He's the army guy, like who knocks up a stripper there. I'm not following. Yeah. Story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Know your librettos. Okay.
Anyway, Jia Shin, lovely, but I think again could have a better program, like a little bit more special, because I really love her upper
because
back.
she is special. Yeah.
So, well, what was your moment of the week? There was.
It was Yelim Kim's short program, but in particular, maybe it's just me, but like it was after that double axel, that slow turn with that music that just pulls on my heartstrings. It was just, that was my moment because the skating made me feel the thing. And that's why I love skating. So instead of me sitting there like counting GOE or figuring out this or figuring out what's wrong with that, like I just like sat back and was just taken on a journey with her. And I was like, that's when skating for me is at its finest.
Okay, so mine was Japan Open overall, had some real moments.
Brought that excitement back to the sport, yeah.
For me, it was Shoma's spread eagle, that little sequence that he did.
Yeah.
And Kaori, and I don't think I've ever had a moment of the week that was Kaori. So,
but now that you're world champion and you cut your hair, Dave is in.
We went to Marie France and got rid of Benoit. I mean, it was a win for everyone. Hold it up to look sexy, everyone. Bye now.